You're listening to episode 258 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Well, on today's podcast, we are joined by Claire Williams from BETA, the British Equestrian Trade Association. But today we're going to be talking about BETA International, which is the British Equestrian Trade Association's international trade fair. So actually BETA International is far more catchy than that. Lovely to have you here, Claire. Hope all is good with you.
All is very well with me. Thank you, Ria. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Well, we've got to talk about BETA International because I think it's a funny one because for the trade sector, it's the thing that we all aim at every year. But actually for the consumers, I think a lot of people don't really know a whole lot about it, which makes sense. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to have a chat about it, what it's about, and just let everybody know, really. So where do you want to start?
Oh gosh, where do you start? It's hard to believe, but it has been going on for over 40 years. We've been running the show.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, BETA was set up pretty much with the idea of setting up a show because the very original members of BETA had gone over to Equitana and came back and said, we need a show for our own industry and who's going to do it? And so they said, I know, let's set up an organisation that amongst many of its things, it will do a trade show. So that's what we did.
Now, this year and last year, I swear I'm having a real issue with how years work after COVID. Will this be your third year at Stoneleigh?
Yeah, so we did 2020, which was our last one at the NEC. And then we moved to Stoneleigh with a slight hiccup because we couldn't run in the January. So that's why we moved to the September. So this will be year 3 at Stoneleigh. And so, and as you say, it is a B2B show, so business to business show. It is where the retailers go shopping. So it is where they go to find new products, see what's been launched, see what core ranges are there, pick up some interesting information, and key to everything really is network.
Yeah.
It is the place to catch up with people, discuss what's going on, find out who's moved where, who's doing what. So it is really, yes, it's a trade show, but as much as anything, it is also the place to network.
Now, I think selfishly, Stoneleigh is a much nicer venue. I didn't enjoy the NEC. I find the NEC big and confusing. I've lost a car there once. I did find it, but it took a lot. It was quite stressful. Whereas with Stoneleigh, it's basically where Your Horse Live is. It's in the same building. So anyone that's been to Your Horse Live, it's easy to get to. Parking's free. You can walk in. There's green. There's trees. I feel much more at home at Stoneleigh.
Yeah.
It's a really lovely venue, actually, isn't it?
It is, and I think as exhibitors, it is so easy to set up. You don't have, and yeah, the NEC had the systems because of the size of the venue, but Stoneleigh, there's no paying a deposit and only having an hour to unload. And in fact, the first year we went, one of the car parking attendants offered to carry all my stuff in, which I almost fell over. Yeah, no, they're lovely. And it's really easy place to be. And yeah, and it's green space, as you say, plenty of room to move. It's a really nice place.
No, I really liked it. There's a whole different vibe. It's very relaxed, actually. I think, anyway. So imagine no one's ever been before. We know it's a trade show, but what actually is that? Are people there giving people money? How does it work?
If only. So if you are a supplier to the trade, so you're a wholesaler or a distributor, or you're a new manufacturer, or you're a new brand that really wants to reach the retail market, that's where you go to exhibit. So it's where companies big and small go to show their buying public, which is the retailer, what they've got to offer. They will have new launches, they'll have innovations. So retailers and other people from the industry will go along to see what they're offering. In the past, trade fairs, it was all about how many orders you took. Now things have changed. Trade fairs still have a really key part in the market, but often retailers will look and then go and order when they get home. So it is about selling, but it's also about finding out, and also now more than anything after COVID, seeing people, because I think a lot of companies have changed the way they sell. Some use agents, some do a lot more on the phone. So this is a place where you can actually go and touch and feel the product, see the people that you're buying from. And, some of my exhibitors will say, oh, I'm really difficult to get hold of. I'm in the factory or I'm out, whereas they'll be there at the trade show. So they say it's the one place where you can catch me and speak to me. So it's all about forging those relationships that then tide you over for the year to follow. The other reason retailers will attend, and other people, is for the education. So we have a really good seminar theatre with some really interesting talks, aka Rhea Freeman.
There are other very interesting talks I'm going to ask you more about.
So there are seminars, you can collect CPD points on a whole range of different topics, and other things are going on there as well. There is a new product showcase, which is being sponsored this year by Horse and Rider magazine for the first time. So that's where you can go to see what new products are out there. We have talks from the show sponsors, Neue Schule, who's with us, I think, for an unbelievable 10th year. It's a phenomenally long time, which is brilliant. So there's lots going on. So yes, it's all about looking and hopefully placing orders, but it's also looking at what you might want to place an order for in the future and learning about lots of things as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that so obviously I do work with Beta and Beta International, for the record, but we had a really good video over from Catherine from RB Equestrian, who said that what you can achieve in 2 days with that many people under one roof versus having to travel around the country, because you've got over 100, well over actually now 100 companies coming with God knows how many brands between them. So it is a really good place to do a lot of talking, networking, seeing in a really efficient way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why so many retailers now are looking at bringing more members of staff to get trained as well. Because rather than trying to chase your supplier to train you, you can come and learn or gain CPD points. So if you sell wormers, for example, you've got to do your CPD. So we've got lots of talks that give CPD points. If you're saddler and bridle seller, you can do CPD points. So there's lots. It's a really efficient way of achieving a lot in those 2 days. And it is 2 days. We shortened it because a lot of the feedback we got was 3 days is a bit too long, and we've been thinking about it for quite a long time. So 2 days it is. So it's going to be a jam-packed 2 days.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Neue Schule, who are the headline sponsors for the event and have been for the last 10 years, which is incredible. I mean, can you talk to us a little bit about that value of a title sponsor, of a headline sponsor? What does it kind of bring to the party? I mean, they're awesome. Last year when you went in, they had a big stand on the left. I know the whole thing's changed this year, so don't look to the left necessarily, but they had, a model of a horse where you could see all the muscles and the nerves. They had all the bits available. They had lots of people available to chat and discuss. So what does it mean to have a headline sponsor on an event like Beta International?
I think for us, it means that we benefit both sides. So for Neue Schule, when they took up the sponsorship, they were a relatively small brand. They wanted to fix their place as a supplier in the international arena, and that's where Beta International really did help them, because because of the name, we do have a lot of people coming in from overseas, both retailers and suppliers, and so it enables us to support each other. So Neue Schule brings something to us in terms of knowledge and expertise and that name, but equally they've gained from the relationship with us. They get good exposure, they get brand exposure the whole year round. So wherever we're talking about Beta International, you'll always see Neue Schule. And so it gives them that ongoing exposure, maybe to people that hadn't thought about them either, because it's too easy for a supplier to speak to the people they know rather than speak to the people they don't know. And I suppose that's where that relationship works.
And is Heather doing doing talks during the event as well?
Yeah, she is. And, nobody knows more than Heather about when it comes to bits and bitting. She was responsible, in effect, for starting the company and designing the bits. And so her knowledge about bits and bitting and how they work is just endless. So she's fascinating.
And I'm not sure we're allowed to talk about this, but worst case, it'll be cut out. You're having a panel discussion as well, aren't you? Which is going to be hosted by somebody from Neue Schule as well.
We are. Safraz Mian is hosting that, Talking Trade. We used to run it at the NEC. It was always really popular. So we have some key individuals from the industry sitting down to talk about what's going on in the trade and taking questions from the audience about what's current, what issues there are, how they're dealing with things like Brexit, cost of living crisis, all of that, to really get their own insights into what's going on.
I think that'd be such a good panel, because you say having people that are really there, doing it, in it, hearing that feedback, and they kind of just get so much information thrown at them, don't they? So much feedback, and having the audience have the opportunity to ask those questions as well. It's a really unique opportunity to get involved in that. So that's super exciting. Now, we mentioned the seminar stage before, and we talked about CPD, but just if anyone's listening who's no idea what CPD stands for, what is it and why does it matter to our equestrian retailers?
CPD is continuous, you'd say different definitions, continuous professional development. So it means that you are getting information that helps you maintain your skills, gives you professionalism, means that you can advise your customers in the way that should be advised. It's always something good. You should always be constantly learning. But for some people, it's a must. So a bit like vets have to keep their expertise up to date. And they have compulsory CPD. For us, some of it's compulsory, some of it's not. So if you are as I said before, somebody who sells wormers and thormintics in store, you have to do compulsory CPD and earn so many points. So we have opportunities for that. If you are a saddle fitter or a bit fitter or a harness fitter or a master saddler, the SMS, Society of Master Saddlers, ask their members to do CPD as well. So there's going to be topics on that. And then for other retailers, including our own members, we're going to have topics that just keep them up to date with what's going on. We've got really interesting talk on merchandising and how clever merchandising can help you increase sales. We'll be doing something on, as I said before, anthelmintics, so wormers and things like that. We're all really concerned about how our horses are building up a resistance to the wormers we give them. So Claire Shan from Westgate Labs is coming along to talk about a couple of topics on that. Yours truly, I think, has to give a talk on safety standards, and one on the industry landscape, so like facts and figures, how much we're worth, how many people are riding, that sort of thing. So lots to learn, and we're trying to keep the talks, to a fairly manageable length, so you don't have to sit down for hours and hours. You can sit down for 20 minutes.
Although, to be fair, I have had a bit of a look at the people you've got speaking, and it would be very easy to spend 2 days sat there listening and just taking all that in.
Yeah, because we've got a huge range. And then we've got our new feature on this, which is the exhibitor zone. So we're going to be listening to some of our exhibitors speak.
I think that's going to be really great, because it's so good to have that knowledge and that information from people. A bit like we said about having that panel discussion with those people that are really in there doing the work. So to have exhibitors being able to share their knowledge and views, not in a salesy way, because that's not what the beta stage is about. It's about the information that helps people make better decisions or helps them improve their knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about, so that people can go and look, listen, and then hopefully go and chat to the exhibitors later about the products in more detail. But it's all about providing them information so retailers can make the right decision.
Now, another thing we talked about was the new product zone, which this year is sponsored by Horse and Rider magazine, which is excellent. Now, last year, I loved this zone anyway, because it's so interesting. I've still got photographs on my phone of, particularly, I'm sure it was last year, if not it was the year before, Shire's had a rug which had a skeleton on it. A turnout rug. It was red, which had a skeleton outlined on it. because Di was like, that's the rug for me, as in Dr. Di, who is Beta's chief medical officer, because obviously bones and, you know, organs, they're right up Di's street. But there were some incredible innovations that were coming through in those awards, weren't there?
Yeah, and we have lots of different categories. And this year, we've also got an overarching sustainability award as well. So lots going on. Every company has the ability to place a product on there. It's got to be new to the market in the year prior to the show.
Yeah.
So basically, it's got to have been launched since last year's show. And we've got we've just redefined the categories a bit. So there'll be lots to see. And then every one of those products get put into the new product awards that is judged by retailers. And they look at things like the merchandising, the product, its innovation, how well they think it will sell. So that's key. It's great coming up with an innovation, but if it's not going to sell, then it's not a lot of point. And then we announce those towards the end of day one of the show, and they get their new products award that's supported by Equestrian Trade News.
I think last year we had, there was a riding hat that won. There was a kind of onesie for riding for children that won. A fly repellent product. Should have had the list in front of me. But what was really good, it was a real diverse range. It wasn't only the expensive products won or only this kind of product won, because there are so many categories. There really is something for everyone, and it is really interesting, I think, to see what's coming out and what's going to hit the market.
Yeah, and it's good because retailers can go to one place to get an idea of what's at the show and then go and find them. So it's really good center of focus.
Absolutely. So another award you have at the main trade fair itself are the stand awards, and you have large stand and small stand. Don't necessarily think small stand is teeny tiny. There will be things announced around how big that is. And I know that people are so proud to win this award, because the stands are things of beauty, and some of them, the work that goes into making them a real showcase for that brand, not just in terms of here's the product, but in terms of embodying that brand ethos and everything that goes into it. What do you look for judging the best stands?
Yeah, you're right. They take tremendous pride. And even if you've got a small stand, it's how you use that space that's key. And that's where that talent of doing the best stand comes in. What do we look for? We look for anything that you'd normally see. So how it looks, how the product's set out, that the person who's manning the stand is identifiable. So you know who the stand holder is, that they talk to you, they look at you, they're not reading their paper, that the information on the stand is clearly displayed, that they can answer the questions that you ask, and that they are approachable and want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So they're sort of the key obvious things. So it is about how the stand looks, but it's also about how the people talk to our judges who don't announce, hello, we're judging the best stand award, that because they go along as people who are inquiring about the product, that they get provided with the information they need to have.
No, it makes a huge difference, I think. You have the most beautiful stand in the world, but if you walk on there as just a consumer or whoever and feel really uncomfortable because no one's speaking to you, everyone's speaking to themselves. But I have to say, genuinely, I have never had that experience at Beta International. Everyone is very keen to chat, and you can get to learn a huge amount as well. Now, obviously, for the exhibitors, they do pay to be there. But one of the really good things about Beta International is that it is free to attend for members of the trade. What is a member of the trade?
So a member of the trade, really, we want to see retailers. So people who are selling stuff that they buy from a supplier. So it's somebody who is not an end user. So, you and your mate who have horses can't just go in. We don't sell product direct to people there. So you can't go onto a stand and say, I want one of those and take it away. So it really is for the supply sector. So we like to see retailers, journalists come and write about the products. Some members of the trade, so like manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, might come along with a view to maybe exhibiting in the future. The one thing we don't allow at Beta International is what we call touting. And that means that, if you've got a product that you would like to sell to retailers, we don't really think it's fair that you can come and come to the show and speak to retailers, say in the aisles or in the coffee shop, without actually having a stand, because that's not fair to the guys who are there and pay to exhibit. So that's why we have this no touting rule. And we do try to police it as best we can. But equally, we understand that companies want to come with a view to maybe exhibiting in the future, and that's fine. But we just say, be fair to the guys who are there and pay to be there. They're the ones that we want people to speak to and buy their products.
No, definitely. I mean, in addition to the people you've mentioned, obviously saddle fitters, bridle fitters, they're all good. It's people that work in the trade, but we do also have,
farriers.
Farriers, absolutely. I guess physios, as in equine veterinary physiotherapists, body workers, it's people that work in the trade, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
And there will also be, along with journalists, there will be a few influencers there, which is an exciting new development for Beta International. So if you are listening and you think, oh, I'm an influencer, I could do some really good things here, apply or send me an email, and we can look into it. We can't, as Claire said, it's not an event for end user consumers, but if you are an influencer, if you're passionate about products, if a brand that you are an ambassador for is exhibiting, then we're keen to basically help get the message out there to help the brands that are coming to the show, because whilst it is 2 days, the great thing about Beta International is the ripple effect of that event goes on for a whole lot longer, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we publish Equestrian Trade News, which is a trade magazine that goes out 10 times a year, and we know that September edition of ETM, which has the trade fair catalogue, and that's if anybody keeps one copy, that's the copy they always keep, because it's got all the exhibitors, it's got all the product listings. It's really, really key information for the rest of the year. And yeah, and we quite often get people calling us saying, oh, we came to a trade show and we saw somebody on the stand and we've lost our catalogue, and can you tell us who it was? Yeah. So there is a long-term memory.
Is there anything for someone who's coming for the first time? Are there any things that they must bring? Someone asked me the other day and I was like, oh, comfy shoes, because I decided to wear in some boots last year at one day at Beta International. That was I made some stupid decisions in my life. That was definitely well up there, because I dropped something on the floor and the boots were rather tight, and I just looked at the thing I dropped on the floor because I couldn't bend down.
God.
So comfy shoes.
Yep.
Anything else?
Notepad. I carry a little notebook, because you're always going to want to take notes. Business cards, nobody ever brings enough business cards, if people still have them. I mean, I do, but they're always important. Everybody always has their phone, because you want to take photos of what you see.
Even a battery pack as well, actually, those extra ones, really useful, because running out of battery is the modern day.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what it's equivalent of, but when my phone says, oh, we have 20% left, I think this is no good to anyone.
No, exactly. No. Yeah, I mean, there are places to eat and drink. We have a coffee shop in the hall that is being sponsored by Lumia very kindly. And so, there will be places you can buy coffee and sit down, and they have a cafeteria outside as well. So, plenty of places to sit down, gather your thoughts, and then crack on.
Yeah, I think hydration is important, because you'll be doing a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So I would say bring a bottle of water, but because I think that's a good idea anyway, but you will then need to refill with the coffee and the tea and the snacks.
Absolutely.
And they're not that far away. You don't have to sort of traipse around the place. And if I remember rightly, last year, they weren't crazy money. Sometimes at exhibition halls, they can be very, very expensive, can't they? I didn't get that vibe. Obviously, they're not as cheap as making it at home, but then that's the point. Someone's making it for you, and it was good food. Actually, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the food last year.
Yeah, and we've seen the menu. Don't ask me what's on it, but we've seen the menu and it looks good.
There we go. Can't ask for more than that. Yeah. So I think we've got. There's anything else you can think of about the actual physical event? 2 days. It's the 10th and the 11th of September at Stoneleigh. Now, you cannot just rock up. You do need to pre-register for your ticket, which you can do at beta-int.com.
Yep, under visitors, and go to registration.
super easy. I had a reminder that I hadn't done mine the other day, which would have been a little bit embarrassing. So I did do it, and it was
Yep.
easy, promise.
Yeah. And the other thing to think about is we have a chosen charity this year.
Yes, tell us about the chosen charity.
So the chosen charity is a small charity actually based in the north, called Here for Horses, to rehome and educate people about horses. So we're really pleased that they're there. So they'll have a little stand. We give them a spot on the stage to talk about the charity. So that's really good. It's nice to be supporting a new charity this year. So you can find out, if you're interested, find out how to get engaged with them and what they do. So that's really good. And then if you're bored and have nothing to do, on the Sunday night, we've also got the beaters. We've
Well,
changed
let's
them
not
this
pitch us as
year.
bored and nothing to do. I'm going to have to buy a dress, which honestly, if you need an excuse to come, just come and look at how horribly inadequate I am in clothing that isn't jeans and boots. That's worth the money. It's really great. It's the Beta Gala Dinner and Business Awards, isn't it?
Yeah, we're trying to jump onto the Oscars. So we're calling them the Beaters, British Equestrian Trade Awards. And I mean, we've been running them for over 20 years. And this year, bit of a revamp, a couple of new categories, which is really exciting. And yeah, good evening, live band, which we haven't had for a few years.
I'm going to find a list of all of the awards because people are very excited about the awards, quite rightly, because there are a lot of them. And what you'll see is on people's websites, the years they've been nominated or the years that they've won. Right, so Claire, talk us through the awards, because you've got sponsors as well for the awards. So tell us the sponsors and just give them a shout out, because I think it's really great when we see businesses backing these awards as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we've just announced that we have a sponsor for the pre-dinner drinks. So everybody gets a glass of bubbly Preston
I am
when they
very
arrive.
excited about this.
Yeah, so thank you, Citrus Lime. They provide point of sale, like barcode readers and that sort of thing, an accounting system for tills, and they are sponsoring that and exhibiting. So that is really good. Then we have one of our new categories is the Safety Equipment Fitter of the Year. Seems a bit of an obvious one, sponsored by Beta, since we do a lot of the training. And so that is for hat and body protector fitters. So that's really exciting. We have the Retail Employee of the Year sponsored by the Weather Beta Group. They've supported that award for quite a few years. So that is for a non-managerial retail employee, which is brilliant because it's nice to be able to reward the shop floor people. And then their second year of sponsorship, Zebra Products is sponsoring the Retailer of the Year, including a new section, which is the best new retailer who's been trading for 3 years or less. Everybody gets really excited about that. There's an online category and a shop category, and we do mystery shopping. And so that's always really, really eagerly awaited.
I should say, actually, just interrupting you. These people don't just win awards based on popularity. These people who are down for retailers get mystery shopped. People get called. People get tested to see if they're worthy winners, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And honestly, whether they win can rise or fall on the performance on the day of their shop staff. So, we really go to a lot of effort to judge these things. They get nominated, they have to fill in a questionnaire, it goes to a panel, we select the finalists, and then we do the mystery shops. So lot of effort. And in fact, all of them are pretty much, the safety equipment fitters have to do a test of knowledge before they get through. A lot of them are done by interviews, but a lot of them have several stages of judging. So it's a lot of effort.
Makes them worth it, though. Makes them to be prouder of when you've got that award. And people are really proud when they win, but so they should be.
Hugely. And we've got the Sales Rep of the Year, which is a really interesting one. That is sponsored by Equine Careers, who've been, Emma herself has won an innovation award when she set the business up all those years ago. So that's really good that she continues to support that one. And then our other new award No, it's a new sponsor, is Holdsworth PR. Rachel Holdsworth is sponsoring the Marketing Effectiveness Award, which is slightly changed. We changed that award slightly a few years ago, but it's all about how effective their marketing is. So that's a really good one. We've got a new award, which is SEIB Insurers Great Place to Work Award, which has just been brilliant. That's been nominated by staff of their employers, and we've judged that one, so that's really good. We've got probably one of the most fiercely competed for awards is the Nutritional Helpline of the Year.
Oh yeah,
sponsored by Stubbs England. That is really keenly awaited, and that has had more helplines nominated this year than ever before.
that's exciting.
Yeah, really, really good. And then we have the Beta Lifetime Achievement Award, again, which we've had more nominations for than ever. Like, phenomenal number of people have been nominated for that. We have the Citation. Citation gives business advice. They are sponsoring the Trade Supplier of the Year. So that's an interesting one. And then last but not least, we have the Equine Fitters Council sponsored Equine Fitter Award, which has had for a new award the most staggering number of nominations. And so that's the people who fit saddles, bridles, and bits.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just a phenomenal range of awards. And yeah, people work so hard. It's nice to be able to recognise all that hard work for the trade, because they are all trade awards. A couple of public nominations, like, the riding public nominate them, but a lot of them, it's the trade nominating other members of the trade.
And what you'll probably see if you're anything like me on social media, there's lots of I've been nominated for posts popping up, which is really cool. So now you know what that's all connected to.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, in addition to giving out awards, there's also a gala dinner, which sounds very posh. I've never been to one before. I have no idea what to expect. I know I can't wear boots. I've got to actually probably brush my hair and everything. Tell us what this is about then, Claire, because just for my own knowledge, I mean, everyone in the podcast can also listen, but I'm intrigued what I'm signed up for.
It's just a really fun evening. So, and we say, actually, dress code is what you want. So a lot of people do have black tie and long frocks, because how often do we get a chance to wear a posh frock? Not very
Absolutely.
often. But we have had people rock up in really casual clothes. We're not picky. You don't have to if you don't want to, but most people do. So we have pre-dinner reception, so good chance to network and have a drink. And then we go in and you have a 3-course meal interspersed with awards. Most of them come after, but we try and get some done before. And then before we actually start eating. And then afterwards, people can either retreat to the room next door and have a good natter with their friends, or we've got a live band. And this year as well, we may, depending on numbers, we may offer tickets, special tickets for the live band, but we're not so certain about that, because if we sell out, we can't. So yeah, so just a really good evening, good food and live music.
I love the idea of having that room where you can chat as well, because I'm not quite a grump, but I think it can be very frustrating if you're trying to speak to somebody desperately and there's a band. I mean, it's great if you want to go and dance, but you can get into those conversations and you find you're just screaming at someone that's sat next to you. So I love that idea that you can mix and match as you feel fit.
Yeah, and that's at Chesford Grange this year, so new venue, and that's good. They've got a, I think it's called the Grange Room next door with a bar, so that you can go and just be somewhere and chat. And the other big thing about gala dinner, because this has been happening since we started it, is, and people get, I can't believe how excited people get. Oh, we have a charity raffle as well at the end. So we have a charity raffle for raise money for charity. And then we also, on every table, we have a Breyer horse. And we're not saying who the horse is yet. We are going to reveal that close to the date. But Breyer have been supporting us at the dinner since year dot. And we always have a Breyer horse as a table decoration. And then at the end of the evening, one person on every table wins the horse to take home.
I mean, I know who the horse is. It's a special one.
Yeah,
I bet they
really.
always are, though, aren't they? They're always special.
Yeah, I mean, we have had some good ones. Yeah, we've had Allegro.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, no, we have Allegro. Who else? Well, we have had some really, really lovely horses. So yeah, it's and bless them, Breyer. When I put the call in, we didn't last year because it was a lunch, and I had contacted them, and they had computer problems. And then when Steph finally got to the email, which had ended up in her spam, she was distraught
Oh,
that she
no.
hadn't got it in time to help us out with the lunch. So really, when I emailed her a long time ago for this year's, she came back straight away and said, yes.
Well, it's very exciting. And I can completely understand why people are excited about winning the horse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People get quite desperate about it.
I can understand that. Now, if people want to come to the gala dinner, they need to go to the Beta website, don't they?
Yeah, there's a link on the Beta website, or drop us an email at info@beta-uk.org, and we will send you all the details you need to have to book your tickets. You're going to ask me how much they are. I think they're about £70, which for a dinner like this is pretty cheap.
Completely. Sounds brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm genuinely excited. It's going to be really good. It's going to be fab.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about Beta International or the gala dinner or the awards that you would like to share with our lovely listeners before I let you carry on and do brilliant things in the day?
There was actually something I forgot to mention, the saddlery competition. So we have some benches with people actually working on some tack. So I don't know what they're making. Sometimes they make a particular piece of tack. And there's also a competition that the SMS runs annually, and they have the entries at the trade fair, and then they get the public to vote on them. So it's really interesting because it's not only do they get a chance to vote on an award, but they also get to see people actually working with leather on site at the trade fair, which is always really interesting.
It's mesmerizing. And I think as well, when you see sort of beautiful bridles or beautiful accessories, it's kind of dainty, beautiful stitching in a row. Leather is a swine to work with, isn't it? These poor people. But I mean, they obviously, it's a real craft and a real art as much as, functional and beautiful. And seeing them work and how long it takes to make the products, I think it also really helps people understand the value of those items.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. I think it's only when you see something being made that you understand. And I mean, it's like so much in the equestrian industry. A lot of what we use, put on our horses, is still handmade, whether that be a bridle or a saddle or even something like a body protector or a hat. They're largely still handmade.
We don't think of it like that, do we? We just think machines for everything, but that's not the case.
No, exactly. And we've got some really good brands coming. Weather Beater, John Whittaker, Gatehouse, Battles, some really good wholesalers. So that's the other thing. If you're thinking about going into retail and you want to get a snapshot of maybe what you should be stocking, it is the place to come, because they are all happy to supply the trade.
And you can also find out things like minimum orders. If you can actually go and do that research in person, put faces to names, which can be so powerful when you want to open accounts rather than just being another person going through the sales at email address. You've got that person that you spoke to, and you can reach out to them. You can ask your questions. It can be a really positive step and save a lot of time and stress as well.
Oh, and not to forget, come and see us, Beta, on our stand and talk to us about joining or find out a bit more about what we do. We're not just a trade association for suppliers and retailers, but a lot of the ancillary services and other professions are becoming members as well, because we offer loads of benefits, lots of insight and lots of support.
And they have free sweets on the stand.
We do.
And we need to discuss this to make sure you get the really good ones again, because there were some, was it last year, that were not great? I ate them because I'm a hero, but I took it up with Aggie at the time.
I've got love hearts.
You're fine. Love hearts are the one. Although I did have some the other time. I almost felt they were like bubbling. I think maybe I'd eaten too many. I think I'd forgotten. It was fine. I'm not going to hold you responsible for my mental habits. But there's good sweets, but also I'm sure you have these. I know you have these when like Your Horse Live, but you have the big sort of posters, don't you, as well, about safety. I'm sure you've got a safety poster, a NOPS
Oh yeah,
poster
yeah.
that people
Yes,
can
we've
learn
got
about.
loads of information, loads of things to take away. We've got our tech room posters. So whether it's hats or body protectors or NOPS or EGIS, loads.
And also, if you're not sure what NOPS or EGIS or anything like this means, or what the beta marks mean, beta is the stand to go to, because Claire, Aggie, Trisha, Tina, everyone will be there. If I'm there, I'll take a swing at it. But I will put you onto someone who knows what's going on. But it's really good, actually, just from an information point of view, to understand what those marks mean, what those standards mean, what NOPS means, how you get a NOPS label on your product, which is not easy. All those things as well. You can come and learn a huge amount about that, and obviously the benefits of membership. It's just the place. And sweets, good sweets. We have it on authority. Good sweets.
Yeah, definitely.
So if people want to know about Beta International, they need to go to www.beta-int.com.
Yep.
Yeah, Claire's nodding. And also on Facebook and Instagram. Do tag, if you go to the event, please tag them, because I'm kind of involved with that and it would make my life easier. But also, so if you're setting up for the show, tag us. If you're packing your van, tag us. Just tag us. We want to see them. And then Beta, you can do this bit, because if I get everything in the wrong order, I'm going to be sad.
beta-uk.org.
And also on Facebook and Instagram too.
And LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the hope is as well that the awards part will be streamed to, will that be Beta? It will, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be Beta.
So if you have got your favourites in the final and you can't get there, you can enjoy the winning or put in the commiserations online. We will make sure you get that information, because I've been sat at home before desperate to see if my client won and I didn't know. I had text updates, so I think it'll be really good to share that.
Yeah, no, that's really looking forward to that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Claire. I know you're a very busy lady, particularly, gosh, with not very long until Beta International. We won't talk about that because I mean, this is going out on the 2nd of August. So it's August tomorrow.
Scary.
Terrifying. But the 10th and the 11th of September, get your tickets at the Beta International website. If you are struggling and you've forgotten where to go to, just head over to Beta International or just normal Beta website, send an email, send a message, email me. I can point you in the right direction as well. Send me a message. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been great, and I cannot wait for the show.
Thank you so much, Ria.